Hello everybody, and welcome to another servicing video. Okay, today I'm going to show you how to dismantle, strip down, service and piece back together the very popular Bogie unit, the motor Bogie Triang Hornby one, which was used on the DMUs, the EMUs, the blue Pullmans, the diesel rail cars, so many. It's a very popular Bogie unit, and it's a very well built piece of kit as well. So today we're going to be servicing this. Now also, this Bogie here, this is off the diesel shunters, the Dock Authority shunters, the R159 double-ended diesel, the single-ended R55, the Class 82 and the Class 81. This is the same Bogie, apart from the fact it has the larger wheels, and it's a different casting obviously, and it has the larger wheels, but the actual servicing of one of these would be exactly the same. So we're actually covering here a lot of locos in one fell swoop. Okay, start with that one. Okay, now like most items, stripping something down quite often is much quicker than piecing it back together, so but that's quite the norm, I would say, for most things. So okay, so we'll start with the top cover here. This is the cast alloy top cover. So the screw is at the side there, and we literally just take that out like so, and as always I've got my cloth with everything on. So we take the screw out. Now this cover lifts straight off. Okay, so very simple to take that off. There we go, that's the cover. Now, first thing to do now is what we do, we get the permanent pen and we mark one of the side of the magnet and one of the pole pieces there. So we know we can put the magnet back the right way round. So now we'll remove the magnet, which is very simple. It just pulls out the middle like so. And there's our magnet with the mark, so we know which is the correct way to put it back in. So we'll put that out the way. Right, now the next thing is we need to remove the brushes and the spring assembly here. So what I normally do is this whole thing just comes straight out in one go anyway. So we just take that all apart like that, and the brushes and everything are going to drop out very simply. Just take the spring out. You'll see there's the spring, and the other end, which has got the insulator on it there, and the spring is like hooked in a fashion like so. Right, so now we've got the spring, the insulator, brushes here. I'll get those in the camera so you can see them. I'm looking at it upside down again. There we go then. So we've got the spring, the insulator, and the two brushes are there. And that's the plate there. That's the like a carbon fibre plate. Yeah, like an impregnated fibre plate, and that's the actual assembly which the spring and the brushes and everything goes on. Now the thing is with these motors, when this is all in place, this piece here, this bit there, if you can see that, try and get this angle right so you can really get a proper look at this. Let's get some more light on it as well, that should help. Right, now this piece here, this brass plate here, it's got a little hump just there on the end, right, just there. Now that hump, it relies on that hump there. When the magnet's sitting in the top like so, it sits on that hump, and it relies on that for the negative to the spring, which is obviously sitting and hooked under that end there, and then the negative end is on the negative brush. Now the problem is, it's one of these situations where the things tarnish over time. Cleaning them up is obviously going to help, but I actually solder a separate ground wire on these. Definitely improves things, makes them very much more reliable. So we'll stop at that, and we're back in a moment. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the suppressor coil here off of the actual lead that is coming from the pickups underneath. So that's just remove that from that cable there, which is very simple to do. And then we're going to turn her over, and now we're going to remove the pickup assembly there. So what we'll do is very simple, just two screws, very simple to do. Two screws. I'm having to keep looking back at the camera because, like I said before, everything's upside down for me here. It makes it a little bit strange, but I'll get there. Right, simply two screws, put those safely out of the way, and then gently lift up the plate, which will bring the wire with it, which is attached to the spring pickup plate there, as you can see. Okay, we'll put that out the way. Now also we can now simply remove the wheels, because we've now just taken the plate away. That holds them in place. So just get a pair of tweezers on there, helps them out. So there's one pair of wheels. Okay, and same again. We're going to clean all this and oil it and put it back together anyway. So there's, oh, this is ever so weird with the camera being backwards. Oh, right, there's the other pair of wheels. Very simple to do. So we've, apart from the pole pieces here and the armature, we've pretty much got as far as we need to go. We can start cleaning her up and servicing it now. Before I started servicing this bogie, I had my suspicions about the armature being faulty. The loco wasn't pulling too well, and it was definitely lagging and lacking in power. So I'm going to show you how you can check the armature. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do this, because you do need a digital multimeter to be able to do it, and you need a little bit of knowledge. But I'm going to do my best to show you and explain to you how you check the armature. Okay, first of all, if you can see there, let's get this right again, get the angle correct. You can see on the armature, come on, I want it to focus so you can see it. Right here, come on, camera, focus for me, come on, do it, yes, right. You see there, you've got a slot on the armature just there. Okay, you've got one there, and if I just gently turn it, you'll see there's three altogether. Very simple, right? There's the second one, and there's the third one. And now they need to be cleaned out with a pin, which you've probably seen in one of my other servicing videos. But it's very important now. We need to check if the coils are okay on this armature, and there's a way to do this. Right, just put it down here. Now I'm going to have to try and adjust the zoom a little bit so you can get them. I can get the meter in as well and show you how it all works. Right, let's get that here, and then we'll bring the meter there, so hopefully you can see the reading now. Now, again, you've got to have a digital meter or an analog meter, but the digital one's almost certainly better. And you've got to have a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of know-how to do this. Now, this meter's auto-ranging. I'm on the ohms setting, not continuity, the ohms setting. I want to meter the DC resistance of the three coils on this armature. Now, this is auto-ranging, so it just literally is auto-ranging. If you've got a digital meter which has got switchable ohms checking, you'll have something like 20 ohms, 200, 2000, 20,000, or thereabouts. Now, it's highly unlikely that any of the coils on any of these motors are going to be more than 20 ohms. They normally hover between about 7 and 12. So if you've got a switch, you need to set it to the 20 ohm position, or even the 200 ohm really, just to see if you've got one which has gone high in resistance. But I'll show you how to check it. It's very simple. Put in one of the slots at the top. We literally get the meter leads and put one on one side segment of the armature and the other one on the opposite one of the slot. Now you can see there we're reading 10.7 ohms. Now that is good. So now we need to move the motor around to the next slot, and we do exactly the same again. To the left of the slot, whoops, just tend to move around a little bit. To the left of the slot and the right there, and you need a little bit of pressure. Now you can see that is reading 6.5 ohms. Now I think that's a bit low, so I think we've got a couple of shorting turns on this one. And we'll check the third section, bring the slot to the top, and we'll check it again with the meter, and we've now got 16.9. So we've got three completely different readings there, and my gut feeling is that that first one, which is around about 10 ohms there, is the correct one. I think we've got one winding where the coils have gone slightly short, and we've got another winding where it's gone high in resistance. So I'm afraid this armature is going to have to come out. In order to remove the armature, you can see on the end there's a spring clip right just there, and it's actually got a dome on it as well there. Now you need to be careful, because inside that dome is a ball bearing, and there's one at each end, and that takes up the lateral movement of the armature itself. That's like a shimmy, in other words. So be careful, because you will lose those quite easily. Right, now I've already unhooked one spring ready to show you. You just literally unhook it and then just take it off, and there's the spring. Okay, now I'm keeping that up in the air. So there's the ball bearing, as you can see. So we'll just drop that out, very, very small. you should be able to see it anyway. And again, I'm putting everything on a flannelette towel right in front of me. It's not going to roll away. Right, then we've got the bush, the bearing bush there, as you can see, the bearing bush, and along with the oil felt pad around it. So we now just again put that safely out the way. Now, if I now pull that out, I can actually take that out. That's the armature out completely. There. Okay. Oh, again, it's not focusing. Oh, dear me, so annoying. Okay. Anyway, that's the armature, and we've now got the pole pieces which we can just drop out. They won't come out while ever the armature's in place, so we'll put those again safely out the way over there. I know that this one is going to be the one towards me, which may be away from you looking at the video, but I know it's towards me when the coupling is on my left. Again, that might be your right. Okay, so, and we can also obviously clean the chassis really well now. It's all completely stripped out. So again, we'll put that out of the way. But bear in mind that the ball bearing is still in that one. If you're going to clean it all up properly, there's a chance that if you tip it down, the ball bearing is going to roll out. So I normally tend to keep my finger over that while I'm cleaning it all up, and I'm not going to lose the ball bearing. I mean, I can see it's in there anyway. Okay, so we'll just put the chassis out the way for the moment. Okay, I've decided to include this section in this video. This is not something that everybody would want to tackle. You need a little bit of skill on this, and a little bit of patience and a little bit of knowledge to be able to do it. But I thought I'd include it because certainly there are people out there that are probably quite capable of doing this. So I'm going to explain to you how the armature works on a motor like this. Now, as we've already spoke earlier, we've got the 3 segments, which you've already seen, the 3 slots, which is the 3 slots are in the commutator, which is this brass section here, which is copper section, which has got the coil windings connected to it. Now, I can't get the zoom in any better to keep it clear, but if you look, I'm sure you probably see it. This is the commutator here. This is one segment of the 3. There is some solder, and then of course you've got the coil round the magnetic iron pole pieces there. Right, now, the way that this is wired, it's very simple really. It's soldered with the wire onto that first seg there, and it circles the pole piece there, and then it ends up on that second segment, and then another coil starts there and goes the same again all the way around and goes to the third one, and then the third one, same again, goes all the way around and ends up back where we started, which means on all 3 of those soldered joints there are 2 wires on each one. So think about that, it is right. Now, this is one that I cleaned up and repaired earlier, because what can happen, the solder can dry up and it can become unconnected or not connecting properly, and then you have one of the coils not performing properly, which obviously gives the motor a weakness. But it's not always fixable, but sometimes it is. Now, this is a particular example of one that was not right. Like I showed you a little bit earlier on the digital multimeter, one of these segments was reading it was about 21 ohms, and the other 2 were reading 7 ohms. So I've simply, well, not simply, it's not easy to do, but the cure was to resolder the wires back on the segments there. Now, it really isn't easy to do, and what I do with them is this one's obviously very clean and all sorted, so I'll get the one which we metered earlier, and you'll see this is obviously very scruffy. What I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up the armature first. Sorry, not the armature, the 3 segments of the commutator. I'm going to clean them first. I want them shining. Okay, interruption by the phone there. Right, as I was saying, I'm going to clean this up. Clean the commutator up first, because I need to put some tape around this before I try and resolder. Now, I don't know if you're going to see this on the camera, but I've got one of those bench spyglasses here, and I can see that the solder on that one there is actually gone. It's completely gone. So if we can resolder that, I can see the 2 wires. As I say, I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but I've got 1 wire there and 1 wire there, and there's no solder on them. So I think we can actually get this armature to work. Hopefully we can get it to work, and it's very dry on that one as well. So what I'm going to do now is clean up the commutator so that it's nice and clean, so the tape I put on will stick down. Now I'm going to just do this with the Dremel like I've done before. So Oh, get that. So let's try and get it into the frame for you. So right, hopefully it's there. Right, yeah, about there. I'm just going to clean up the con very gently. I'm not pressing hard on this. I'm only just lightly tickling it. I'm just cleaning it up all the way around. Hopefully on the camera you should see it all starting to shine. Yep, looking better. Yep, looking pretty good. Very important if you do this with the wire brush and the Dremel, you don't put any pressure on, just very, very lightly. And because the Dremel's going so fast, it actually polishes it really well. I think you can see that on there now shining. Let's put that away. Okay, stick that down there for a minute. There. Right, I'm going to get some sellotape. Okay, back with the sellotape. Now the reason for the sellotape is I'm going to place it right up to the ledge on the com, like that, and bring it round. Hopefully you can see this. Bring it round, there's like a ledge, and I'm bringing it round up against that ledge, like that. Now the reason I cleaned it first is because the sellotape sticks better. Okay, and now what happens is when you're soldering this, if you don't put something on the commutator, I'm trying to keep it under the camera here, when you solder this, if you don't put something on the commutator, the solder can run down onto the com, and it obviously it's a bit of a pain to try and get it back off again then. So yeah, so that's the sellotape in place, and I'm now going to try and solder these wires back in, and we'll see if the motor's going to come back to life. So just put that down there for a minute. Right, I've put the armature into my little man. I think they're called helping hands, and I can't get a better angle for the camera, so I'm going to try my best to do this now, and very carefully. I don't know if you can see that as well, but I've put a very fine point on the iron, which is obviously very important for doing this. So wipe that off, and it's got some fresh solder on there. Right, let's see if I can resolder these. Not easy to do. Right, there's one. The sellotape does shrink a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. At least it stops it from going on the commutator, and then we can get the sellotape off easily afterwards anyway. So there's number 2. Now, as I say, this doesn't always work. You know, probably 50% of the time you can get them back to life. So third one coming up. Yeah, I don't like that one. No, still don't like it. Got it. Right. Ooh, right. Okay, well, let's have another look. I didn't really like number 1 very much, to be honest with you. I don't know. No, it looks okay. Looks okay. Number 3 is not quite so good. But you don't get a lot of shot at it. That's the problem. You don't get many chances at it. So, right, well, we'll just have a break for a minute, and then we'll take it back out of the helping hands, and we'll get the meter on it again and see what readings we've got. Now I've had to zoom back again a little bit to be able to get the meter and what I'm doing here all in the frame. Right, we're ready to check this again now, see what the readings are like, and hopefully we've got it back to life after the soldering. Before I do, just refresh your memory that clean the commutator first. Get it back in the picture. Clean the commutator first before you do any soldering. Clean it first so you can put some sellotape around. The sellotape sits right up against the ledge where the soldering actually is, there, right up against that ledge. This helps to stop the solder from going further onto the commutator, which can be a bit of a problem to get it off. Now also, because the commutator does heat up straight away when you solder to it, the residue of the glue stays on there when you remove the tape, so you need to clean it off with some sort of cellulose type thinners, like the Evo stick type cleaning, that sort of thing. Again, what we spoke about in previous videos. So yeah, so we're going to check it again now then. Same procedure. Any one of the slots to the top, let's see what we get. Literally one leg onto that one, not the slot, the actual commentator segment, and then the one opposite it there, and we've got, right, 6.7 ohms. Okay, move it around to the next slot, same again, check that one, and we've got, oh, 6.7 ohms. Oh, it's looking good. And round to this one, the last one. Oh yes, we got it back to life. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, right, I'm gonna have a break for a minute. Well, that was really super good news about that, so that's cool. Right, we're going to put this out of the way now, and we're going to start cleaning up all the stuff that we can. And again, I'm using the sort of adhesive cleaner. So we just soak cotton buds, a cotton bud. Don't forget the ball bearing is still in the chassis there, so I've got my finger on that. And simply just clean it up with the glue remover. It's just simple to do, really. Just give it a good clean all the way around, and you'll see how quick the cotton bud gets a bit black very quickly. Let's dip that again, the other end. Right, hold the ball bearing in still, and just double check it, give it a bit more here, there and everywhere. Just gets all the crap and the grease off it. So, yep, underneath, yep. Really simple to do, so just give everything a good clean. So that's the sort of the chassis, and I'll get another cotton bud. You don't really ever really need to bother to cleaning that top section. I mean, you can give it a clean, but they're not normally that bad. I mean, it doesn't really get a lot of oil and stuff on it because it's right at the very top. But I do clean the magnet pole pieces, the end pole pieces, which are there where it's running. You'll see that one's black, so give that a good clean with the cellulose type fluid. Don't forget, if you're using this cellulose type fluid, do not get near any plastic. It will definitely damage the plastic. So again, just be very careful you don't go on anything plastic with that. So we get all the crap off that one. Yep. Dip the other end of the cotton bud, and same again, just clean this one up. These are always a bit chatty anyway, so that's where the armature, the pole pieces are running inside there. Yeah, it usually does get a bit black. Just nice and clean, pretty nice, good clean up. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, and of course that with it being that type of adhesive cleaner, it just evaporates, which is exactly what we want it to do. So that's those. Right, get another clean cotton bud, and we need to clean also, what I normally clean with these as well is, I normally give the brushes a bit of a clean as well, so yeah, just give them a bit of a clean up, like that. I'm going to actually polish these as well though, but you've probably seen me do that in the other video, but I will do them anyway. So that's that one, and then on the other one, another one. Just give them a wipe over, just to get the worst of it off. They're not usually that bad really, but just get the worst bit off, like that. Dip the other end of the bud, and the fibre mounting brush mounting plate, you can afford to give that a wipe over. Some of them are bad, some of them aren't, but just for the sake of a bit of a wipe over, no problem. Oh, that's not too bad at all. Say a little bit of black on it, but these aren't usually that bad, that bit. We'll clean that. I think I might as well reuse the end of that bud because it's still got a bit of use in it, and definitely clean the pickup plate along with this is the wheel retaining plate as well, so we'll give that a clean, both sides. Again, they vary in how good or bad and how dirty they are, but just get the worst of it off. No, not that say some of them are better than others, so just a bit of gentle wipe over and get rid of the grease and oil off of that. Okay, now one thing you must not do is don't clean the wheels with this cleaner, because the centre cog is plastic, and also that side there is a plastic isolating bush in there, so don't clean that with flammable cleaner. Right, so I'll come back to those in a little while. The other thing that I normally give a bit of a wipe over with the flammable stuff is this that bracket there. That's the negative conducting bracket, or I could say call it a bracket. It's a copper strip really, but it is a negative conductor for the motor. But I do something about this, because I don't think these are very reliable, particularly when they get a bit older. And again, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, or earlier on. You can probably see, I think I can, yeah, I can get to, you can just see there, it's actually bent up. There's a line there. It's deliberately got a little hump in it, in other words. And again, I'll come back to that in a short while. Right, here I'm just going to clean the wheels up with the lighter. This is the lighter petrol. So I'm just going to clean the axles up, like so. And again, these will probably be pretty black, to be honest with you. They usually are quite black. So I'll do the other end as well. I'm just using the bog standard lighter petrol, which again does these really good, and it doesn't do any damage to the plastic cog, etc, etc. So just, yeah, work your way around, clean it around, and yeah, it comes out that easy. Another cotton bud. Don't worry about how many cotton buds you use. Don't keep using an old one or a dirty one. Just keep grabbing a new one. Same again, just clean the axle and everything. Yeah, you can see how black these can get. In fact, that's quite good, that one. Sometimes they're really bad. So soak the other end and finish her off. Get that. This is obviously going to take off all the oil as well, or any oil and grease, but we're going to re-oil everything that's moving anyway. All the moving parts are going to get re-oiled, so that's yeah, that's fine. That's what you need to do to those. Okay, cool. Right, now what I'm going to do here, obviously we've cleaned all this now, and obviously all the oil and the grease has gone off it, so but we need to remember that the metal chassis itself is the negative supply to the motor, and this negative is picked up from the wheels, obviously, and through the chassis, through the magnet assembly, the posts, and that's how it gets its negative. But we're going to improve that in a minute. Now, remembering again about the ball bearing in that end there, I'll show you. Turn this over. Now, where the wheels sit, which is obviously there, across the axle, sits across there, and obviously there as well. Now, you'll note that that originally would have been, you know, oiled. Obviously it would have been oil, the axle's got to run there. But what I find with them, if I can get the angle of this right to show you now, a little bit awkward to do, so I'm trying to hold that ball bearing in as well. With the Dremel, just very carefully clean up the actual parts, where the axle sits, and those little U-shapes there. Clean those up like that, so they're shining. Yeah, you can see it on the camera now. That's the negative. It's got to pass through there, and remembering we're going to have oil in there as well, you want that to be nice and clean. So without losing the ball bearing, I'll just try and get round and show you the other side. You're not going to do any harm to these axle slots with the Dremel, because it's cast, and it's only cleaning them up to make them a good connection, as you can hopefully see there as well. Right, okay, so put that back down. Bum. Put the Dremel out the way. And we're pretty much ready to start piecing it back together. So, okay, back in a couple of seconds. Right, I think we're going to start putting it back together again now. There's a couple more things we're going to clean up, but we'll do those as we get to them. Right, first of all, and again, remembering the ball bearing is still in that one, we need to replace the two pole pieces, like so. One like that, and that one, as you can see, that's the mark. Now we know this one goes nearest to me with the coupling on the left, which, like I say, maybe you're right. Now these sort of hook in, they've got like a flange here, look, and they sort of just hook under like that. Once you get those in and you get the armature back in, then they can't come out. It just holds them in place. So right, now we're just very carefully, with the refurbished armature, very carefully put that back through the middle of those. It can be a little fiddly to do, but just bear with it and it'll work. Into that back bearing, just keep straightening those up as you go along. Get there in a minute. Oh damn, I forgot to put it through the other one. Wait a minute, I've got to go through the other one first. My fault. Take 2 on that. Alright, I think get it better off doing it that way, if I remember rightly. Can I do that now? Yes, that's how I did it. Right, okay, hopefully you saw that. Yes, hopefully you saw that. You have to hook this end through first, then hold the armature offset while you put the first magnet pole piece in, and then move it slightly as far as you can that way while you get the other one in. So that's now back in place there. They can't actually fall out, like I said, they will stay in now. Now we've got to put this bearing assembly back together at that end. So simply put the centralising bearing back on with its pad. Pole piece is falling out, it's unusual. Right, put that back on with its pad there, like so. You see that? And then we've got that will centralise everything. Then we've got to put the ball bearing in, like so, and then we've got to clip this back round. Now usually I normally do one inside first, obviously, and then it's not easy to do, it's quite fiddly to do, so just got to get that and hook that round. Right, I might need to get something on this now to get this round. Wait a minute, so get that on there. I think that's it. Straighten up the bearing. Come on, that's it, she's gone. That's it, she's clipped on. So you can see that is a little bit fiddly to do, but that's how you do it. So that's now back in place. Lovely. So what we'll do now is the magnet can go back in. Now before it does, this plate goes in first, like that. You see that? You can't. It's got the 2 slots there and there for the, and it goes all the way down and it sits on a shelf on the pole pieces at the sides. So that's again easy to do. Now we've got to put this in. Now before I do put this in, I'm going to come back to this this strip, this copper strip, which is actually, like I say, is the for the ground for the motor. And what I normally do, I will do it in fact, because some of you guys might not feel comfortable with soldering, and if that's the case, you really do need to clean this up a little bit. So I'll show you. Referring to that hump section I was referring to, this hump section here sits under the magnet. The magnet presses onto it, and the negative supply is through that. So we do need that to be clean, like so. Okay, and I'll turn it round, and at this end there, it needs that corner there to be clean, because that is where the spring sits and touches again for the negative. So if you're not going to be confident in soldering, which I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a bit, you need to clean up that corner and that little hump, like so. Right, you'll see here that I've removed the TV suppressor, capacitor and inductor. So I've removed those off of this copper strip at the moment. It's only the one wire that's soldered on, and it tends to sort of keep pulling this about where you're trying to put the motor back together, so we'll put that back in a little while. Okay, right, so we've got the brush retaining plate in place, and you'll see now that that there hooks into that there under the magnet, and it hooks under the front like so. I'll just make sure that's tucked under. Now this is where the hump part is on it, just there, and that is because when we put the magnet in, which we've got marked so we know which way to do it, when we put the magnet in and push it down, right, that now has lifted that up, as you can probably see. It's lifted that up there. Just push that back down because it's pressing on that hump under there, and this is where the motor relies on its negative. Up the metal body from the axles onto the magnet. The magnet is pressing onto that hump, which is why we cleaned it, and then the spring will hook underneath that and hold that down, supplies a negative to that brush there. But I do improve these, and we'll come to that nearer the end. So now we need to put the cover back on. Now the screw thread is tapped into that end, so I usually put it on that way round. It's much easier to do that. Make sure that the long screw, that one, back through there. Now sometimes they don't always line up, so you have to sometimes play around with it a little bit to get it to line up. So you've got to square everything up. Right, that's okay there. Let's put that back on. Oop. Right, try again. Gonna have to line again. The magnet tends to do that itself, so you've got to persevere till you get it back. Oh, been a bit more awkward than normally are. Right, I've got it. Okay, she's in. Right, okay, let's get that screwed in gently. Now this is an 8BA screw, and it's a brass screw, and it doesn't have to be really tight. Still not going. It's not lined up properly somewhere for some strange reason. Try again. Another bash. No, something's not right. Not lined up. Try again. Let's have a look. Put that through. Right, it's gone through there okay. Alright, don't know what's happening here. You just got to... They're not normally a real big problem, but you've got to be careful that you get everything lined up smack on, as it just will not go. Right, it feels okay that time, I think. Let's have a look, let's have a go. Yes, gone. Right, this is a brass screw, don't over tighten it. It just needs to be firm. That's all. Okay, that generally moves about, so we can now put that spring back in the back corner like that. There. Sorry, not spring, the copper strip. Now, it's the spring that holds that in place on that corner there where we polished it up, on that corner. Now, I'm going to try and show you this spring. Again, it's a little bit like the other motor. It's got a very obvious shelf on it, as you can see there, very obvious. And the negative is picked up from this corner here, which is on that corner there. The spring goes in a downward angle and then swings round. So what I'm going to do just very quickly is I'm just going to clean that corner up there a little bit with a bit of emery. Because there's a very good reason, apart from the fact it needs to connect to the negative anyway, there's another reason why I'm cleaning this up a little bit more. It's a bit fiddly to do, but a little bit of emery cloth and just to give it a clean in that corner, like so, like that. Right, now we can put that in place, and it goes in a downward motion and then levers forward. That's it. So that now, as you can probably see, it's now sitting over that corner where we've polished it up a little bit. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Right, as you can see, I've now just placed the insulator back on one leg of the spring, and I know that's the leg which is furthest away from me, so it's easy to remember that. I've already cleaned up the two brushes anyway, so they're nice and shiny look. So we're going to refit the brushes. Now this can be a bit of a pain, so they can be a bit awkward. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way for doing this really. Right, where's my little tweezers gone? I've lost them. Oh no. Oh, I've got it. Got something, a bit of metal there stuck to the magnet. Bit of a bit off the wire brush there. You got to watch out for that. Right, right. These can be a pain to do, but we'll see how we go. Right, try my best. Right, you've got to get hold of that spring somehow and hold it down past the brush hole, and you've got to put the brush in from the back, like. Oh no. Try again. Really can be fiddly, like that, and then let the spring go. Hopefully you saw that. And as I say, we've got the insulator on that one. We can pull that back a little bit now. The insulator's just come back a little bit. Yep, right. And simply the same with the other one. Now I'm right-handed, and I find that doing this one a real pain. So we'll see how we go with it. Sometimes you get them first time, other times you few goes at them. But if anybody can find a better way of doing them, please tell me. Right, in fact I think actually I can come up from the bottom at the moment, because I've got the wheels off, haven't I? I forgot about that. Wait a minute, it'll make it a bit easier I think. Right, can I do it from the bottom? Get hold of the spring first, get it under tension. Come up from the bottom. Can't get the angle though. Oh no, don't think I can get the angle right. No. Oh no, I can't do it. Can't do it, can't get the angle. Right. try it from the side again. Oh dear, no, very fiddly to do. Try again. Get the spring tensioned, get the brush. Right, she's through but not quite properly. Ah, come on, come on, come on, come on. No, no. Come on. Oh, got it. Got it. Oof. I hope you saw that. It's really quite fiddly, but I've got it anyway. Right, so there we go. Both brushes in place. I'll get the angle right for the camera so you can see it. Yep, there we go. That's it. And of course the armature is turning nice and free now. Everything's bolted up properly. Okay. And you'll probably see, oh, I've just noticed actually it slipped from under it. That there needs to be over that piece there. Come on, baby. Got it. Right. That's it. It's got to be over that corner like that. Now we're going to put the wheels back on and the pickup plate from the underneath. Right. Okay. Now, as you can see on the bottom, we've got like an indentation there. Now you can't get this wrong because it's only on the positive side that is there, and it's there for the wire and the little rivet that it's soldered to on the plate to pass through up that side of the motor, so you can't really get this wrong. But what you can get wrong is the wheels. You can get them in the wrong way. So before I put the wheels in, we just need to put a little bit of oil on where we've cleaned up the shaft. So what I do now is get the oil, and we just need a little bit, not a lot, just down there. Get some on it first, nothing's come out yet. A bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Alright, let's double check that. Yes, that's more than enough. Right, okay. Now, when you look at the wheels, when you look at them, look in the centre of the wheel. Let's get this right. Okay, right. That side, it might be hard to tell on the camera, but if you look at it, if you do one of these for real, that end is straight onto the solid shaft. That's the negative end, which is picked up off the chassis. But that end has got a black bush in it, and as I say, if you look at it under light, you will see it's definitely got a bush in it, and that is the positive end. So that has to go that way, like so, because this is where the positive end pickup's going to be. So we want the pickup running on the wheel which has got the bush in it. And so again, we just check it on the other one. Right, that's the end which is directly on, and that's the end with the bush on it. So I can see that okay from here anyway. So then we just drop that in as well. Okay, so the correct way round now. Now we're going to take the plate, the wheel retaining plate, and pick up, and it's got to be that way because, like I say, that rivet there sits over that indent. So we just pass the wire through that side carefully, get that up through there when it decides to go, catching on everything. Right, and then obviously we just gently push the two clips, pickups up against the wheel, put that into place, and then just hold it. Right, now one end has got a perfect round hole there for the screw, and the other end has got a slightly elongated hole for allowing for discrepancies. So always put the screw in the end with the right size hole first, like that. Now I'm going to wind it right down, but not quite tighten it up. I'm just going to come back a fraction. Then I'm going to put the other end in, because that then centralises everything, like so. Put that down, screw that down, and now we can afford to lock them. And again, they are brass screws. You don't have to go mad, you don't have to put stacks and stacks of pressure on them, just enough so that they're firm, and like that, and like that. Okay, so that's the pickup back on, wheels back in, correct way round, insulated bush to the pickup side, and we can carry on piecing it together. Right, there's our wire. Back in a few seconds, we'll have a break. Now it's time to solder the coil inductor, TV interference suppressor back in place. Now I always use a bit of fresh solder when I do a job. You should always re-tin what you're soldering together. So we'll just give them a bit of tinning so it's nice and flowy, and then we'll just put that back together like so. Yep. Right, I'll bring that round here, and you'll see there's a shelf there which is off the pickup plate there. That's there, look. Not pickup plate, sorry, the brush holder plate, and it usually sits just over it like that. It stops it falling down onto the armature, but you can adjust this a little bit afterwards anyway. Now I always find that the capacitor on these, the leg is far too long. It's a bit of a pain, so what I'm going to do is just chop that off a little bit like that. And again, if you're not comfortable with soldering, it's not critical that you do that, but I like to just tidy things up as I go along. Right, and I'm just going to re-tin that, sorry, like that. And we'll put that now is going onto the negative, which we know is on the middle bar. Okay, and we'll just get that back onto there. I'm sorry if my fingers are in the way a little bit, it's hard to do this and everything with the camera, but I will show you. Right, okay, back on the centre leg there now, and we can't afford for this here to be touching here because that is the positive there, so you'll have to manipulate that around a little bit and keep that away from the bodywork, like so. Again, I'll just get a pair of pliers on it and just tidy it up a little bit better. I prefer to do it that way anyway. Right, so we'll get it like that. Okay, there we go. This is away from the bodywork now. There we go. So that's all tidied up a little bit. In fact, the cap can be bent back a little bit as well. Okay, so that's that. And now we've got to put the positive feed, which we know is this one, which is coming from the capacitor and the TV inductor there. That has now got to go under the positive brush, which is the one with the insulator on. Again, it can be a bit fiddly to do, but we'll see how it goes. Right, I've already cleaned this all up as well, so we'll just swing that round there. And we've got to get that now down the back of the brush. So we're just going to get that. I think I'll go from the front actually, like that. Sometimes it goes in easier than others, but right, she's gone in, she's in, straight in, lovely. So there you can see, that's now got the positive feed here, is under the brush with the insulator on it as well for the positive supply to the motor. So yeah, well, we're getting close to firing it back up now, so what I'm going to do is oil it. Can't forget to oil it. Right, where's the oil gone? Over there, right. Without a doubt, you put a little bit on both the worm drives. Just a little bit on both of those. You don't have to put any on the underneath because that worm drive is driving those, so they will get the oil on them as it happens. You obviously have to oil these pads. So again, you need to soak that noticeably, and I always drop a little bit straight on the bearing as well. It's always good policy to do that. So again, the front pad or back pad, depends on which way it is in the loco, obviously, like that. Oil that so it's nice and wet, and a little bit down on the bearing as well. So now we're pretty much ready to run her. Let's see how she's going to go. So yeah, cup of tea time. Oh, right, I was ready for that cup of tea. Okay, yeah, right, well, like I say, we've oiled her, we've put her all back together, we're ready to try her. So we just get the crock clips again, and we just need to stick one straight on the chassis, which we know is the negative anyway, and I normally clip the other one there on the pickup, and we'll see how she's going to go and how well she's going to run. Now we need to be steady at first because obviously we want the oil to penetrate through, so just get the lighting right. Here we go. Right. There she goes. She's nice and steady. Yeah, there she is, she's running. Yeah, wicked. She's running. Okay, then we'll speed her up a bit. Oh yeah, definitely. I can tell it's right now. I can feel it, right. Can afford to take her right up now. That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, back the other way. reverse, yeah, straight into it, oh, straight into it, no problem at all. You can always tell when you've serviced the motor properly, and you can always definitely tell if all 3 coil resistances are the same. You can always tell because you can feel the power in the motor. So we'll take a bit more, and right up. Oh yes, you'll hear it as the brushes are bedding in a bit more, look. And let me just, oh hell, loads of power. That's definitely better. Yeah, picking up speed all the time, look. Loads of power. Well, whilst I've got it in this mode, so to speak, let me just show you one other little thing I do to, on a cleaning, from a cleaning point of view. I'm just going to soak this cotton bud with the lighter petrol, not the cellulose cleaner. Lighter petrol. Just get it spinning. I'll show you, because where the pickups are there, I normally spin it on the inside of that wheel there, because quite often a lot of crap ends up there and we didn't really clean. You'll see what I mean, look. Hopefully you can see that's black on there. Now that, it's got to be clean because that's where the pickup is running, on the inside of that wheel. Right, I need to stop this a minute and do the other one. I need to put some more fluid on the other end of the cotton bud and then pick it back up and fire it back up again to do the other wheel. So I'll just get that out of the way a little bit. Alright, that there. And fire her up again. Oh, I'll get the angles. Alright, we're going to do the same on the inside of that wheel there. Just let that clean it. That really needs to be lovely and clean. And again, look. And we've already cleaned them, so that's just shows you. So now, at the moment I'm supplying the positive directly to the motor, but now I can come off that wheel, look, and it's fine. And I can come off that wheel. Yep, this is fine, this is what we want it to be. Lovely. Right, just one more thing then now. I'm going to show you how I improve the negative supply to these motors. Back in 2 ticks. Right, just on the last bit now then, just to show you how to improve the negative. Let's just point out again how the negative is derived. First of all, the wheels are on the shaft, on the metal shaft, which is sitting on the chassis. Metal wheels there. The negative is on the shaft, which is sitting on the chassis, on those U-shaped sections where the wheels sit in. So the negative is now on the metal casing. It is then up the magnet, pole pieces, onto the magnet, down the magnet, which is sitting on that little hump on the brass strip, and then it's got the spring hooked over it in that corner, and again that is through there to the negative of the brush. Now that's how the motor picks up its negative, but what I do with them is quite simply this. Right, sorry about the break there, the battery was running out, so I had to put the camera on power. Right, simple. Okay, all I've done is, see that eyelet there, look? You can buy those at most stores like Maplin's, etc, etc. I've just soldered a wire onto that. The best type of wire to use is alarm cable. Strip it out, it's stranded, very flexible. And if you look at the motor, I've actually already soldered the spring and the brass plate strip there. I've soldered them together already there, so they're done. So yeah, so now I'm just going to remove the screw from the side like so, very carefully, so we don't lose it and nothing comes undone again. Take that out carefully, and if you look, there's a slot down there, down the side of the cover, and so just holding it carefully, just insert the eyelet into there, carefully thread the screw back through and wind it back up like so. Dig-dig-dig-dig-do, like that, and then we're just going to cut the wire to length ish, so we need to be about there. Chop that off, strip it like so. I think the tape's running out as well. Okay, and just going to tin that up. Pretty cool. Right, good bit of tinning. Chop a little bit of surplus off, and then swing around there and put the whole lot together like that. That now is putting a perfect ground from the body just there, straight round, straight soldered to the spring, which is holding the brush in place, and we're not relying on everything just touching. That's a proper ground, so works out a treat. So there we go, folks. Hope that's been useful, helpful, informative to you, and might give you a little bit more confidence on what you're doing if you do one yourself. I think I might do a video on how to solder as well in the near future, because I'm pretty good at doing it, and I think I can give people quite a bit of advice. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.